From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. We're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. By the way, got to admit, we're in a different setting this week. We're getting ready to move downtown, so we're in our podcast studio, a.k.a. the Panic Room, Barry. But don't panic, folks. We got the 5 and 5, and here we go. It's a little in and out, up and down this week, Barry. Let's start with in or out. Thunder in the playoffs.
I'm going to say in, 2.5 games out behind Phoenix, but the schedule turns in the Thunder favor. Thunder largely weathered a pretty tough January, still not playing to the level that we're accustomed, to the level they want, to the level that the Thunder's going to need to do anything once they get to the playoffs. But I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to go in as well on this one. But, you know, there are definitely still moments where you wonder. You know, you see these guys looking, although maybe not as much here in recent days, but looking just unmotivated almost in some games that, you know, they need to win. And I don't know if you can start thinking of it yet like some of the college teams in state, who we'll talk about in just a minute, but in terms of, you know, must-win games, or they need to win all these games at home, you know, if they're not going to win on certain games on the road. I don't know if you can start looking at it that way, but against teams that aren't playoff teams and won't be playoff teams, to see them maybe not as energetic is a little bit concerning, but I think they're going to get in. But, man, you got to try to get as good a position as possible in the West. All right, Barry, let's do up or down. OU and the NCAA tournament seedings, up or down?
Well, in the seedings, the Sooners are going down. Oklahoma's 3 and 4 in the Big 12 going into that Wednesday night game against Texas Tech. But the truth is, OU's played a very tough schedule. The schedule's front-loaded for Oklahoma, so it's hurt OU's seeding to not win some of these games they could have won, losing at home to Kansas State. But it really doesn't affect their NCAA tournament availability. They're going to make March Madness, but the chance to get up into a top 4 seed, maybe get sent to Omaha for the regional, that's largely blown. So the seeding down for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think it is down right now, but the way the Big 12 is with, you know, you don't really have an obvious sort of Final Four type of team. I mean, I think there's an obvious champion at this point. It sure seems like Kansas is once again, as we've talked now for a week or 10 days, looks like they're going to win it. But with the way the teams are, I mean, they all have pretty good RPI. So if you can get on a little bit of a win streak, maybe win 4 or 5 in a row, you know, head into the postseason with a little run, I think that could go up. I think the way the league is, it could go up. But right now, OU's sort of searching for some consistency. If they can find it at the top of their game, I like their chances to go up. All right, Barry, how about let's do in or out again. OSU in the NCAA tournament. Where are they right now, in or out?
Well, they're in right now, but it's still going to be a difficult road. Oklahoma State has held serve at home, lost all its road games. And what it comes down to is this. OSU still has 2 what I would call winnable road games. They still go to Fort Worth. They still go to Lubbock. But they've got 4 tough home games remaining against what I would consider the 4 best teams in the league: OU, West Virginia, Kansas, and Texas, not necessarily in that order. So the Cowboys, if they get to 500 in the conference, they're 4 and 4 right now. If they finish 9 and 9, I think they're in. 8 and 10, it's squishy. So can they win as many on the road as they lose at home? I think the odds are sort of against OSU. They've got to play well against those 4 teams, starting Saturday night against Oklahoma in Bedlam. So we're going to find out quick exactly where OSU stands.
I think at this minute, OSU is in. At 4 and 4, I think they would be in. And if they continue that 500 record in the league, I think they're in. But you got to make sure you hold home court as much as possible. You know, we saw them play Iowa State tough in Ames. So there's a game that you think, well, maybe that's a matchup you can win. We saw them get blown out in Norman, but that's almost become sort of normal. I think beating OU on Saturday is going to be big towards NCAA tournament hopes. I'm not terming it must win. Too many games left to play. Too much yet to happen. But, man, that would make things a ton easier for Travis Ford and the Cowboys. All right, Barry, our fun question of the week. Deflategate admissions. Okay, the Patriots aren't doing it. They aren't saying they did anything wrong. But any admissions of cheating, a Sandlot game or Little League game, anything you just want to get off your conscience?
I don't know how you were able to come up with this question because, frankly, the answer is yes. For literally 44 years I've lived with this.
My.
We used to play at recess at Kennedy Elementary. 1970, fourth grade, we played football, and we actually had organized teams. We'd have teams and we'd play. And the team I ended up on had too many guys. We had like 8 and 9 guys on our team, and we were playing 6-on-6. So I was sitting out of play, and for some reason I was in the end zone, or I guess what would be beyond the end line, waiting to go back in. The other team actually throws what appears to be a touchdown pass. Guy catches a pass behind the secondary. He's coming in for the touchdown. I just step onto the field of play and get him, and stop him short of the goal line. And
you did a Woody Hayes, Barry.
Yeah, fourth graders not all that observant. They didn't realize I wasn't in the game. Denied the touchdown. So I apologize. I didn't mean to do it. I will be unlike Bill Belichick. I was not a repeat offender.
Do you need to make some phone calls after we're done with this?
No, I can't even remember who was on my team and who wasn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't have any sports-related cheating that I remember.
Now, don't say anything about taxes. Let's not get into taxes.
No taxes.
The IRS is faithful watchers of the press row.
I think there might have been a third grade spelling test that I need to call Miss Ferguson, my third grade teacher, and say, I think I might have cheated on a third grade spelling test. I know.
Looking on somebody else's paper?
Yeah, I'm a bad speller, too. I think that's some sort of karma to come back on me from that third grade spelling test all these years later. Sorry, Mrs. Ferguson. All right, let's get back to the serious stuff, although that was kind of serious.
That's serious.
That felt
Cheating
serious.
on spelling tests.
I know, sorry. Okay, one more. Up or down, Barry?
Sandlot football, who cares? But spelling test.
It's serious. Up or down? Josh Heupel. This guy get up or down?
You know what? I don't think he went up. I mean, you don't leave Oklahoma and go to Utah State and go up, but I don't think he's down. I wrote earlier in the week, Heupel actually landed at a job that it might be easier for him to become a head coach at a decent school where he's at now than at Oklahoma, because he's at a place that's a solid mid-major, Utah State, with a hot young coach in Matt Wells, who could move on. Yeah. If Heupel has a nice year with that Aggie offense in 2015, he might be in line to ascend to the head coaching job. So if you're going to be a head coach, Utah State's an excellent place to start. Good, solid Mountain West team. So I think Josh Heupel landed on his feet.
Yeah, I think to answer up or down, you have to say down. But I think that sort of depends on what Josh Heupel ultimately wants. You know, if he wants to be the head coach at Oklahoma someday, I don't know. I mean, that chance might be gone for the foreseeable future, unless he just takes the world by storm and, you know, becomes a head coach somewhere and is fantastic, and all of a sudden Sooner fans go, man, we had a great thing, let's bring him back. But, you know, if he wants to be a head coach, then you could definitely say that this guy landed on his feet. Maybe he is going to ultimately use this as a stepping stone. But it's an interesting thing to think he gets fired at Oklahoma and all the prestige, ends up at Utah State, and it might not be such a bad thing after all for Josh Heupel.